Can't really describe the feeling of, dreaming of just coming and playing on the PGA Tour, to be sitting at home, with a girl I dated in high school, with our child, and then the green jacket sitting in the closet is a pretty insane feeling. And I just, wanted to be as thankful as possible. But I think the human heart is always, striving for more, and the competitiveness in me is, it doesn't really allow me to reflect really that much.
Why does it feel like when we're talking about Scottie Scheffler that the human heart that's always striving for more that he's talking about doesn't seem to impact him the way that it affects others? You know what I mean? He seems insular in terms of outside forces, expectations, or even internal ones impacting him. Mark Carnevale is joining us live from Valhalla this morning. He is the 1992 Arnold Palmer Award recipient. That is for Rookie of the Year. And this week he will be a part of SiriusXM radio coverage. They call themselves PGA Championship Radio. This week, Carney is joining us, I believe, from inside of their studios this morning. Carney, how are you? What's going on?
Good morning, Matty. Just reflecting on those comments from Scottie Scheffler. I think that's And before we go into anything else, it just really makes me admire him, the way he handles himself. And very unusual in this day and age that the best player in any sport is able to compartmentalize so many different things and really put the emphasis on what he believes and his family believes is important. And that's unusual, and I have a lot of respect for him for that.
I'm trying to compare him historically, and my mind, and I'm not trying to be unfair, and I'm not trying to be sensationalized. I'm just trying to understand the mindset and that ability to compartmentalize, as you phrased it, Carney. It kind of reminds me of a Jack Nicklaus back in the day where, yeah, I play golf and I'm very good at it, and my mind is one of my chief attributes in the competitive arena. But when it's all said and done, I'm also going to be there for my kids' games, et cetera, et cetera. Is that a fair comparison? Would you have another one?
No, I think that's pretty fair. I think, and what sort of the sidebar to all that is, and as someone who's played this game and certainly been around it and watched it, and certainly watched other sports and athletes, I got to believe that makes them play better. And certainly Jack, you could sort of correlate that with Jack, and obviously with Scottie, that because they're able to separate their profession in a lot of ways from their private and personal life and emphasize that more so than their profession, I actually think that allows them to play better. And I think it's a very fair comparison.
Is there any concern with Scottie Scheffler, or is he such an outlier that we don't have in this area? Is there any concern of rust when he comes back and for what he's gone through? Now he's a new dad and all the rest, or is he going to pick up right where he left off?
I would imagine, the break, and we always talk about it all the time. Players talk about having rust, like you used. I don't think it's rust, because you don't ever forget how to play the game. It's that competitive side of it, that getting in that mix. Is 3 weeks. What is it? Is it 3 weeks a month? So I know he skipped New Orleans, Dallas, and I guess he's missed 3 weeks. Is that correct?
I don't think it's quite that long, but yes, effectively.
Yeah, I don't see. I don't think that's it, because I'm sure he spent time practicing. He was there for his wife as she gave birth to their first child. I think he put time in. But I also think it's a good thing, too, to get away from it, because when you think about it, he won 4 times in 5 weeks. I think that shows that his game is where he wants it to be. I don't think you lose it. Certainly, you could say the distraction of having the child is more important, and he's even admitted that. But no, I don't expect to see him come out and do anything different than he always does.
Absolutely fascinating. Are you going to see Scottie this week? Have you seen him? Or do you even know what your assignment schedule is yet?
I will be covering his group tomorrow afternoon, so I'll see a lot of them on Thursday. I haven't seen him yet. I just arrived. I arrived yesterday afternoon, and it's been raining, and it's currently raining now, so I haven't even been out on the golf course. Hopefully we get some breaks in this. I don't see any players on the golf course at the moment. They've had moisture the last couple of days, and it's going to be a challenge. Tomorrow's supposed to be okay based on what I understand, and then certainly a possibility over the Friday and the weekend. But no, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be interesting to follow him to see how, I mean, is it a response? I don't know. I mean, we can classify it however, people get interested in it, but I think, I feel very privileged to be out there with them. So I'm excited about it.
Do you like the golf course? Do you like it as a stage for a major championship?
I was here in 2008 at the Ryder Cup. I was here for 2014. I know that they've made some changes to it. They've added some yardage. They've made some adjustments on some of the holes. I think it's certainly good theater. Again, I haven't been out on the golf course yet, so I haven't really seen. Uh, the sort of the sad part is because we're getting the moisture, so it's going to be soft. It's a long golf course, going to have an advantage without question to the longer hitters. So I think the venues are great, Matt. But I think what ultimately is the key to whether or not, I think, in my opinion, and certainly the public can agree or disagree, I think the competition is what really brings it all out. And I would expect we're going to have another great competition here this week, which, again, I think highlights not only the field, but it also then ultimately highlights the golf course that the competition is on.
Yeah, I mean, so much of that competition has rightfully been focused on the defending champion in Brooks Koepka, the play of Rory McIlroy coming in, obviously the play of Scottie Scheffler. When you look at those three, are they the three chief storylines when we're talking about inside the ropes, which is odd to have to qualify that at a major championship, but nonetheless?
Well, certainly if you look at the most recent winners and certainly the game, the names in golf with their competitions on different tours. In Brooks's case, having coming off a win on the Live Tour, Rory coming off the win at Wells Fargo, and Scottie, the interesting thing, we talk about the high that Scottie was on after winning, obviously the Masters again, following up with the win at the RBC Heritage. Imagine what the adrenaline he's going to feel now as a father. That's might be the biggest win when you look at it. I think certainly so, but as we always know, there are other stories that are going to, fold in. I know that John Rahm made some comments yesterday that people have responded to. The biggest thing, and this is what sort of bothers me. I was talking to Dom about this before you came on here. Drama was always on the golf course with golf. Now we've got so much drama off it. And I know that certainly probably gives people clicks and it's more popular in social media. But I always like to have the drama on the golf course. But now we have it off it. And unfortunately, I think that makes us like every other sport where for the longest time golf was, I wouldn't say immune to it, but it sort of distinguished itself separately by not really having that drama outside of the ropes.
Well, it certainly carried itself with a degree of dignity, perhaps, that other sports didn't have. That didn't necessarily mean that drama wasn't happening behind the scenes. We just weren't aware of it. As to what John Rahm said, for those of you that may not have heard it, to react to Carney's comments, here is John Rahm yesterday, and he was asked the question about being over there or outside the tour, and he was like, whoa, let me redefine this. This is from yesterday's press conference.
So you guys keep saying the other side, but I'm still a PGA Tour member, whether suspended or not. I still want to support the PGA Tour. And I think that's an important distinction to make. I don't feel like I'm on the other side. I'm just not playing there. That's, at least personally. I haven't really spoken enough to know about what's going on the board, and obviously people are not going to be willing to be sharing that information with me since I'm no longer a part of those discussions. So I'm going to say what I've said all along. I hope we reached a resolution, and a resolution that's beneficial for everyone.
To me, Carney, it seems like his comments were intended to be an olive branch, but instead some people have seen it as though he took out a stick and whacked the PGA Tour. Which side do you fall on?
I think so. I kind of tend to agree with some of what John said. I mean, he's won on the PGA Tour. He's won many times on the PGA Tour. That's something they can't take away from you. Do you lose your memory? I don't know enough of the details of what everything has done. I mean, that's part of the, my challenge and I wouldn't say my issue is that I don't personally know enough of what everything is going on. So is he suspended? I don't know. I thought he lost, he was his privileges was revoked, but suspended. I don't know. But I look, at some point we have to come to some agreement. Golf, while we've had this, I think it's 3 years now, 2.5 years run of this. It's time to get down to business. I would like to see something. I don't know how they're going to resolve it, but I don't know if it was an olive branch for John. I mean, it's if you've never talked to him or interviewed him, John is sneaky, kind of funny, in a sense of he will say things that most people won't say, and he even said it there. He says, "Look, I speak what's on my mind."
Yeah.
What a lot of other players don't. So I I don't know. And again, I go back to the drama. It's so hard to understand or even get a sense of what's going on. Again, I think golf needs it to have to come to some agreement. I just don't know how you satisfy uh, everybody in trying to come to an agreement.
But Carney, if you were sitting at home right now and you heard us play that sound, you heard this conversation that we're having about Jon Rahm, aren't the people in the right place to be annoyed by the fact that I didn't start this by asking you, what do you think of Jon Rahm's chances this week? Instead, we're reacting to outside the rope stuff that he said at a press conference.
I agree. I would just, again, that was kind of the point I was trying to make, is we never had this kind of drama. I think it's affected people, the viewership, the listenership. I think golf fans are turned off by a lot of this. I mean, it's a lot of very rich men complaining about uh, you know sort of, in a lot of people's lives, very irrelevant things. It just looks kind of petty in ways, and I lump myself in there because I am a member of the PGA Tour, and it's was my profession and how I talk about it and cover it and broadcast about it. But it's not a good look for us for this game. That's why I said, I mean, for the longest time, you talked about character and dignity. We had it. Yeah, there were things, as you mentioned, there were things that happened outside the ropes, but now everything outside the ropes is, I mean, you're putting it right inside the arena every time, because everybody's like sort of waiting uh, on every word anyone says. Well, what's Liv doing? I get asked that question all the time, and I have no idea. That's, I think people, and I think fans, and I'm not speaking for anybody other than myself, I think golf fans want a better sense of what's going on. What are we going to be able to look forward to? Is it just 4 events a year that these guys are going to get together, or are we actually going to see the best in the game play against one another?
We asked a question yesterday. Would you take, say, Brooks Koepka, Rory McIlroy, in Scottie Scheffler, or the field? The vast majority of our audience in the survey took those three against the field. When we were coming into the Masters, and feel free to comment on that, Carney, by the way. When we were coming into the Masters, we had three as well. We were talking about Brooks. We were talking about Rory. We were talking about Scottie, sure, but we had Jon Rahm in the mix. He ended up finishing tied for 45th. So I revert back to the question I used in the example, actually, and ask you, what do you think of Jon Rahm's chances this week? Do you notice any, and I realize he's a fiery, emotional guy anyway, but do you notice any extra fuel in that fire this week in determination?
Well, we know he has it, and that's sort of the unknown with John, because we, as people that cover the game, haven't seen it on a regular basis. The Masters is the most recent one. I still believe there is a factor in the setup that Liv uses. I think Brooks is he's proven to be an anomaly. Matt, being able to do what he's done while pursuing that. And I think that's the mindset. But John is one that I think has always wanted to be the best, and you have to wonder. Of course, it was less than 6 months ago when he made that decision to move to Live. I think it's a factor. You can't count him out, but I think having covered him, having talked to him, it's got to be bothering him now. I think the key is, can he use that to his advantage? And certainly the talent is there, but I think we'll get a good sense of it this week.
Another player that there's tons of question marks surrounding, of course, is Justin Thomas. He's the hometown boy. He's obviously had success at the PGA Championship. He was asked about the pressures that he's feeling this week. Here's JT.
I've never experienced it. I've never played a professional tournament, let alone a PGA in my hometown. So I'm sure it'll be some new feelings, some good feelings, but I mean, just going to take it in and try to, use it to my advantage. Use the energy, the support to try to kind of get me going and push me along as the week goes.
All right, Carney. So if we had it on some type of measure, is JT closer to finding it, contending, winning, or is he still searching? Where is he on that dial?
I think he's closer to finding it. Again, the breakup of he and Caddy Jim Mackay. Again, I think it's a good thing for JT in the sense that he is, doing things, kind of the way he needed to, which I think is, he's a player that I think is a shot maker. And, there was always a lot of discussions. And again, it's nothing against Bones as a caddy. I just, having followed Justin a lot previously, just knowing what I saw. And again, it's you have that advantage, as you know, Matt, when you're here, you see different things. I think the confidence is coming back. I think certainly this week could help him more with that, with the boost of energy from the local crowd. It's hard playing in your hometown. Is it at this point in his career, is that enough, or does he feel internal pressure, which is very understandable? But I see it getting better for him. I think he's, is he back to winning? He's certainly capable of it, but that's all about confidence. You talk about it, players talk about it all the time. It's the greatest thing when you got it, and when you lose it, it's the hardest thing to get back. And I think it's all a process, but I think he is on the right direction. He's got a good caddy on his bag that's been successful. And, I hope that, it turns, because Justin Thomas playing good golf is really good for the game.
Jordan Spieth is another player that there's a lot of question marks surrounding. It seems as though Jordan often is, how do I phrase it, battling voices in his own head. We do know, however, that he's also dealing with a physical issue with his left wrist that has been discussed a great deal recently. Jordan addressed the media yesterday about this week that it almost seems like, as incredible as this sounds, like it's being underplayed, that he's playing to try to win a career Grand Slam.
It's the one that's eluded me so far, and it would be pretty incredible to work my way into contention and have a chance this week and see if I can try to make that history. I'm aware. It's very cool, but I would take any and all and as many majors as possible, regardless of where they come. There's just not many people in the game that have done that, and you have an opportunity to do things that are very unique in the game of golf. That's what kind of stands out, that stands the test of time afterwards. So, yeah, anytime we come to these weeks, the idea is to have prep to try to peak for, really 4 times a year, and this is one of them.
So, Carney, how close do you think Jordan Spieth is to playing golf versus playing swing?
Yeah, I think that's the problem. I think you hit it right there, Matt. I think that's what I see when I followed him out there. It's again, I think all these guys overthink the game way too much anyways. And I think Jordan certainly shows that when he's out there playing. The thing that stands out, and this is with the best players in the world, not just Jordan Spieth, what I find very interesting is those players tend to, and again, in my mind, having been out here and played out here, mess up the easy shots. And we say easy shots, the one that really doesn't require a whole lot of thought into it. It's pretty obvious what you need to do. And I think, it's just like with JT. I think you don't think golf, you play golf. You don't think golf swing, you play. And I think that is the hardest thing for some of the best players in the world to do when they've struggled with something, is to be able to go play golf. It's easy to say, but I see it all the time because you're overthinking it. You go back to when you were a kid and you went out there, and whether you were a junior, you weren't thinking all this other stuff. You saw where the golf ball was. You saw where you needed to hit it, and you hit it. And there's just so many other factors. I mean, do you factor in the money and the FedEx Cup points, the trophies, whatever? Sure. But I think we overthink it. It's a game. And a lot of times I think players get in their own way. And I think Jordan is one that has gotten his own way sometimes by overthinking the process.
Scottie, Brooks, Rory, or the field? Who do you got?
I got those three for sure. I did that at the Masters. I took Scottie against the field. I'll take him again this week.
It's remarkable that we're having this conversation. That reminds us of, the last time we had a conversation of this sort was the guy that's teeing off at 8:04 a.m., Tiger Woods. He's playing alongside Adam Scott and Keegan Bradley. Tiger was asked the obligatory question and gave the obligatory answer yesterday about the state of his game.
My body's okay. It is what it is. I wish my game was a little bit sharper. Again, I don't have a lot of competitive reps, so having to rely on my practice sessions and getting stuff done either at home or here on site. End of the day, I need to be ready mentally and physically come Thursday. These days of practicing, getting on the golf course, and that's one of the reasons I came up here on Sunday. Just knock off some of the work that I have to do and charting greens, get all that stuff done early, and so I can focus on literally playing and plotting my way around. Yeah, I still feel that I can win golf tournaments. I still feel I can hit the shots and still feel like I have my hands around the greens and I can putt. I just need to do it for all 4 days, not like I did at Augusta for only 2.
So, Carney, everybody's reacting the same way to Tiger, right? But honestly, what else do we expect him to say? What else answer do you want from him other than for him to say, yeah, I'm here because I believe that I can win? You don't expect him to go, look, I think I'm going to struggle to make the cut. I don't, but again, I'm not trying to lead you. Where do you fall on what you just heard? What are your thoughts?
It would be out of character if he didn't say that. He said it from day one that he's here to win golf tournaments, and we know how strong the mental aspect of his game is, and it's going to need to be stronger now than it even was before, and that's hard to even imagine. As tough as he was, because the physical aspect and the golf aspect, the physical act of playing golf is not where it was. He's admitted that. So it's almost as he's got to be tougher. If anyone could do it, it would be him, without question. It's just going to be a challenge. I think, like with anybody, that's always been at the top of their sport, the hardest thing for them to do is to walk away from it. We know he enjoys it out here. We know he loves playing the game. He likes being out. He said it many times. He likes being out here with the guys. At some point it's going to happen that he won't. As long as he still believes, who are we or who's anybody to say you can't do it? Now, the likelihood, maybe not, but you can't tell someone talented that if they believe in themselves, they can do it. You can't say they can't do it because he's proven us wrong time and time again.
And I know from a fan's perspective, we all hope that he's going to prove us wrong again, or at least be in the mix. I think fans of any sport get excited when they know that they are actually watching the prospect of history being made. All right, so Carney, I do have to ask you one of the outside the rope questions again. Apologize in advance, but you are still a member of the PGA Tour. I'm looking for clarity on something. We have always been told that the PGA Tour is a member-owned tour, that you, PGA Tour players, own the PGA Tour. But recently, with the creation of the PGA Tour Enterprises, which took the commercial properties of the PGA Tour and folded it under that entity, a for-profit commercial entity, and then players were granted vested equity in that entity. I'm confused here. Yeah. I thought you guys owned the PGA Tour. Now we're finding out you don't own what are their chief assets, which is all their commercial assets, which is the real money that's coming in. I'm just confused. Can you help explain to us what's going on here? Is it yours or isn't it?
Well, it was my understanding that throughout the years we were the owners. Things happened that I certainly questioned. This certainly questioned, but I thought it was very interesting when we had been told that for so many years, and I've had many conversations with guys who played out here. I mean, I'm still a member, but I don't play anymore. I don't play competitively anymore, but I still pay my annual dues. It's hard because I've always been one, don't tell me, show me. And when they came out and I heard that, I thought it was just very amusing that, well, now they'll actually, you'll be owners. Well, I thought we always were. I don't know enough. I wondered how they were going to be able to equitably distribute that or put a value on it. A lot of people have created the tour the way it is. A lot of people were part of that. I understand that it's a different world than even when I started playing on the PGA Tour, and you go back to the late '60s when they broke away from the PGA of America, and so forth. So many people have done this. Again, I think that even goes back to how are you going to come up with a good an equitable agreement to say, okay, those guys can come back and play. My biggest thing is there's not enough information, and there's not, as a member, I don't have enough information. I don't like that. Again, I'm not saying I've earned any more than anyone else, but I think I've earned at least the right to understand what's happening to the entity that I am truly believed in and have loved my entire professional career.
I'm not asking you to reveal anything, Carney, believe me. But it's clear that who's getting the grants, how much they're getting individually is on a lockdown, because it was our understanding that information was released and that those individuals know where they stand in terms of how much of a vested grant that they're going to be given or have been given already. My question is, and again, you decide whether there's propriety in answering this or not. Do you, as a PGA Tour member, know who the 36 players are that are going to be benefiting from the $750 million in invested grant, and they're on down in the next level and the next level and in the Legends level?
I've heard rumors of who, but I have never been given a list or been said, hey, this is what we're going to do. So. I'm not, people could say, well, you're crying over, I'm not. I am more concerned about the body of the PGA Tour, what it represents. And if, people have earned money and, you could use an example. Has Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods earned that? I would say probably yes. Who am I to say no? I mean, Tiger Woods certainly one of the reasons why I sort of had a job with PGA Tour Radio to begin with. So that's not that. There's just not to me, there's just not enough information. So I don't know. I have not heard any specific numbers as to who gets what. And, I think then, how do you define that? How do you separate that? I think is the interesting part. And who are the people that are deciding this? That's would be my question is, who is making this decision? So I am certainly up in the clouds like everybody else. I really don't know.
That's fascinating. And there's some part of me that wants to apologize to you that I even had to ask these questions.
No.
But I have a feeling that we're not around the corner where that's going to be behind us, and we're able to focus solely on what's going on in between the ropes, which both of us would rather be doing. However, we are very much looking forward to your work this week. SiriusXM PGA Championship Radio, as they will be calling themselves throughout the course of the week. We're looking forward to all of your coverage. I know you're going to have fun following that Scheffler group tomorrow, Carney, as ever. Thank you very much for your insights. Thank you very much for your time, my friend.
You got it, Matty. I will always answer a question if I have an answer to it.
I appreciate that. That's why we love you.